Welcome to the Enjoy Life podcast. This podcast is about enjoying our lives by making the best of our current situation and being able to choose our mindset, our goals, and our actions so that we can guide our lives to go in the directions that we want it to go. Well, in this podcast, I'm going to share with you information that I've learned just through personal experience, which, my mistakes and failures, as well as some of the successes too, obviously. And some of the things I learned from a little bit of formal education and with working with people to make positive changes in their lives. These are things that I'm trying to do in my life because it wouldn't be right for me to share things that for you to do that I'm not willing to do myself. Now, by no means am I perfect or have everything just right. I'm human too. So some of the things I'm going to share with you are things that I'm trying to do or I'm still working on improving, but it's still valuable information because if it can benefit me, then it might be able to benefit you too. I'm glad you're here and listening in. Just make sure that while you're listening in, you're storing things away that you can take action on to be able to move forward and take your life in the direction that you want it to go. Once again, I'm glad you're here, and let's get started. Hello, welcome to episode 89 of the Enjoy Life podcast. This episode, we're talking about a choice I don't want you to make. But before we dive into that, another announcement, same thing I talked about last week, is some changes happening to the actual feed of this podcast. If you're not techie and know all the RSS feed stuff, that's cool. You can go to nickmazy.com/podcast. That's my website page for the podcast. You can listen to the podcast there. And I think the feeds for Apple Podcast and Stitcher should update really quick. So if you have any trouble finding this podcast after this episode, you can go to my website, nickmazy.com/podcast. You can go to nickmazy.com/iTunes, and that'll take you to the Apple Podcast page, or nickmazy.com/Spotify if you're listening to it on Spotify. Feel free to find it at any of your other places too, and those feeds should update pretty quick. Hopefully, they'll update quickly as well. All right, on to today's topic. That's why you're listening, right? We want to talk about today's topic. And today I'm saying, don't choose to be miserable. Well, of course. Who would choose to be miserable? Have you ever chosen to be miserable? Well, probably not. I don't think anybody really says to themselves, oh, hey, I want to be miserable and have a terrible time today. No. But just because we're not choosing to be miserable doesn't mean that we're not allowing it to happen. Because no matter what, we choose what we do about our situation, our mindset, what's going on in our lives. We choose how we want to handle it, how we want to see it. It might not be the easiest thing to do, but it is a choice. So when it comes to being miserable, we don't want to be miserable. This is the Enjoy Life podcast. We want to be happy. We want to live our lives and guide them to go in the directions that we want them to go. Isn't that what you want? I hope so, because if so, then you're probably in the right place. If you're not and you want to be miserable, you are definitely in the wrong place. All right. So if you're having an off day and you're not that good, not feeling that good, or you're kind of miserable, because let's face it, it happens. It happens sometimes. What are you going to choose to do about it? What are you going to choose to do? If you're miserable right now, or maybe tomorrow something happens, and you're feeling down and out, and you're a little bit miserable. What are you going to choose to do about it? Well, you can choose to do nothing. That is a choice. You can choose to do absolutely nothing about it, and just to keep going on as though there's nothing you can do. The problem with that is then you end up doing nothing about it, and then you don't improve your situation. It just stays there. And the longer it stays there, you kind of can waller in it, or a little southerner term, and it can just make it a lot worse. And then what ends up happening is you end up focusing on it, and then it ends up being a choice for you to focus on how miserable you are. And you know what happens when you focus on how unhappy you are. You do. It gets worse. What you focus on grows. And then before you know it, you're even more miserable than when you started. Well, that's not what we want. Or you have another choice. You could actually choose to let your misery define you. And you're not only just focusing on it, like it is becoming who you are. You talk about being miserable. You think about being miserable. You resign the rest of your life and days to come to being miserable. Well, clearly I do not promote any of those choices. Now, since you're listening to this podcast and you're listening to my voice, you actually have some more choices. You can still choose to do nothing. I don't think that's going to work for you. The whole podcast is about, choosing our mindset, goals, and action, choosing to do something, those actions. You can choose not to believe me, and you can choose to reject everything that I'm about to say. And that's a choice. And by all means, you have the power and the right to make that choice. I hope you don't. And not that I'm some guru or some expert, but you can, the things that I'm about to share with you, other choices that you can make for, to combat being miserable, other choices that you can make to help promote your own happiness and well-being, they're not profound. It's just a matter of you choosing to do them to be able to get the benefits. Now, you can choose to give up, and that kind of goes in line with the not choosing not to do anything, but it's even a step further. When you choose to give up, when you choose to just be hopeless, things get worse. Things get worse. It's a lot better than trying and failing to not even try at all. All right. Now, or the last choice. And this is the choice that I dearly hope that you choose to make. You can choose to do something. When life's not going how you want it to go, you can do something about it. When you're feeling miserable, if you're feeling down and out, if you're feeling like life is kind of not great, you can choose to do something about it. Now, I'm not promising some miracle solution that you do one thing and all of a sudden everything's fixed. No. But when you do things, when you take action, you can make progress, you can get better, you can find out what works for you and what doesn't. Maybe some of the things I'm about to recommend don't really work perfect for you. That's fine. Not everything works for everybody. Some of the things that I'm about to recommend, they work great for me. Others, not so much. I know they're helpful, but I want to share them because they might help you. All right. So what are these things that you can choose to do to fight being miserable, or just to not resign yourself to being miserable? What can you do? The first thing is helping other people. Now, this is the kind of the weird one, I guess, in that if I'm feeling bad, that I should go help somebody else out. No, I want somebody to help me if I'm feeling bad, right? If you might be the same way. So this one tends to be a difficult one, but it's worth starting off with because it is so powerful that when we help other people, we actually increase our own happiness. It is this weird thing that works that if you help others, you benefit too. There's a study I had to learn about in school where they took two groups of people. Each person in each group, they gave $20. One group, they said, hey, here's $20. You can spend it however you like. And the other group, they said, hey, here's $20. You have to spend it on somebody else. Now, both groups had to spend the $20 before the day was out. And what they had done is they had asked each group questions about their happiness, and they had this little rating scale about happiness that day. And then the following day, they got back together and asked more questions about their happiness. What ended up happening is the group that was required to do something for somebody else reported a slight increase in happiness, statistically significant increase at least. And that's not to say that, if you just go help somebody, everything's going to be fixed and perfect. But it's an interesting concept that if we help other people, if we focus on other people and do some good for somebody else, we not only do we benefit them in whatever good we did for them or whatever we help them, but it also helps our mindset, our perspective. I believe that it leads to us being more grateful for what we do have. If you help somebody that's down and out, all of a sudden you realize how much you do have. And that's an amazing thing to help get out of being miserable, to start seeing life in a better way and enjoying it more, is that slight shift in mindset to all these things that we do have. I'm about to go on a little bit of a tangent related to this. I saw a post on social media, and it was about how this generation doesn't know prosperity or anything like that. And then the counter argument was, no, all we know is prosperity, and so it seems like we don't have much because we have so much. I'm not trying to get political, but it brought up such a good point that when I think about the things that I do have, I have so much to be grateful for. Yes, there's still more that I want. I want to achieve more things and and improve my life for me and my family, and I'm striving. But at the same time, there's so much to be grateful for. I have a job. I have a roof over my head. I have meals to eat. I don't go hungry. There's so many basic things that billions of people in this world do not have. that, if in the slight moment of helping somebody else out, I get to realize how much I do have to be grateful for and how much I have in my life. And so if you're miserable, if you're not happy, if you're feeling down and out, try to help somebody else out, even if it's just a little bit. It might help you. And that leads right into the second one. The second one is gratitude, which is really related to the first one. But, in addition to just going out and helping somebody else out, a simple gratitude list is profoundly perfect. I don't know. It helps out so much. All you do is list some of the things you're grateful for. Do that one day. Do it the next day. It can be a very short list. And you start to look at it and you start to see that there are good things in your life. If you had the opportunity to wake up and you can comprehend the message that I'm giving, you have some stuff going for you. That's it. Now, what more do you have? I don't know. But some people don't have that. Some people didn't have the opportunity to wake up today. Some people don't have the opportunity to hear or to be mentally aware of what's going on. We have so much to be grateful for. And keeping a little gratitude list can really help shift the mindset in a way to help you to enjoy what you do have more. And that kind of mindset that, I have so much to be grateful for, that can actually be energizing to help you achieve more, to hit your goals. All right. Now, I don't want this episode to run on forever, so I'll try to get a little bit quicker through the next few. And the next one is self-talk. You've heard me talk about this on this podcast probably, or in my website maybe. You believe the words that you tell yourself. This is an amazing thing. We're exposed to so much information and so much, honestly, so much negativity. It's no wonder that sometimes a negative mindset sets in. But with a little bit of conscious effort, we can tell ourselves a positive message that we need to hear. If you need to be told something positive, a little bit of encouragement, it's good. It's definitely good to get out there and find it from an outside source, like reading, positive material or listening to positive messages and stuff like that. But at the same time, you can tell yourself something positive. Some positive affirmations, can actually do a lot of good. I like having a little mantra. The two that I tell myself just about every day are day by day, I get better in every way. And I have more than enough energy, drive, and focus to do what I set out to do. Now, it's not exactly about being just happy or enjoying life, but that helps me to have the mindset I want to have so that I can pursue the things that I want to pursue. And that's rewarding. That's helpful for me. What mantra or what saying can you tell yourself to help you to have the mindset that you want to have? Tell yourself that. You tell yourself that enough, you might just believe it and it might end up impacting your life. And the next one is taking action. If you're not feeling like doing something or you feel like sitting on the couch, let me go ahead and tell you, continuing to sit on the couch is probably going to make you more feel like sitting on the couch. Or you get up and you do something, maybe take some steps towards your goal, and that could have a profound impact because you'll be moving forward, you'll be making progress, you'll feel good about what you're doing. Even if you don't feel like doing it, you'll feel good that you did it. That can be helpful. Exercise, right in line with taking action, is exercise. Now, if you don't feel like exercising, stand up and get moving, and it'll help you feel like exercising. But if you're miserable, if you're unhappy, try to get a little bit of exercise. I know you don't feel like it. But let me go ahead and tell you, it's doing the things you don't feel like doing that tend to lead you where you want to go. The easy path of no resistance is not going to take you to your goals. So, and a little bit of exercise, a little bit of blood flow, a little bit of movement, that can do wondrous things for the mind, the neurochemicals and transmitters and all that good stuff. You can get some endorphins going and you feel good. Right in line with that actually I don't have in my show notes, but feeling good, treating our bodies well is so good for mindset and mentality and your mental health that, also pay attention to food. Believe me, I like eating some junk food. The only problem is not only does my body feel worse the next day, but my brain's not firing it as well, and that does not make me feel happy. So a little bit of action, a little bit of exercise, a little bit of good eating, these can all do great things for our mental health as well as our physical health. Right in line with mental health is mindfulness and meditation. Right? If you're not feeling it mentally, you might try a little bit of a mindfulness exercise. I love the app Headspace, and I try to do it at least a couple times a week, and I just do a short 5-minute mindfulness exercise, a little bit of breathing, and it is huge. It is so helpful. I do that for a few minutes and a few minutes of stretching, and man, my day is so much better. Like I am on top of it compared to the days I don't. All right. And the last two, they really go hand in hand. And I'm not gonna say you have to do one or the other. All right. One of the things that I like for me in my life, it helps me not to be miserable. It helps me to enjoy life. It helps me to have that positive attitude. Is I like reading some scripture in my Bible. Now, if that's not for you, cool. I'm not saying you have to do that. I love the book of Proverbs. It's about life. It's like kind of like a life instruction book, the book of Proverbs. Even if you're not a Christian, this book has things like a wise man has many advisors. And I take that to heart. When I need to make a decision, I seek advice from people that are knowledgeable on that area, and that's a big thing. And it's been so helpful for me. And regardless if you're a Christian or not, that can be a good thing to help you out. Maybe some scripture can help you to have that mindset that will serve you best in the long run. And if that's not your particular cup of tea, that's fine. Sayings and quotes. There's it sounds might sound kind of hokey or like, not a big deal. But if you're miserable, if you're not doing well, and you're not feeling that good mentally, feeling a little down and out, it's really related to that self-talk. But sometimes when we're in that state of mind, sometimes it's really difficult to say those encouraging things to yourself. So by looking up just some quotes and sayings, you might actually be able to have somebody else tell you those words, but you just read them and you repeat them to yourself. And that could be the ticket to help you. It's not going to fix everything, but it might get you moving just a little bit. It might get that microscopic step in the right direction, and that it allows you to get up and get moving, to take action and get some exercise, or maybe you get a little bit more positivity and you say, hey, you know what, I'm going to try this mindfulness exercise, or it's a quote that makes you think about, I do actually have some good things in my life, and that gives you just a little bit of boost to either do a gratitude list or to go help somebody that that needs help. Whatever it is. Guys, there's a lot of things here. Help other people. List the things that you're grateful for and keep them in the front of your mind. Give yourself some positive, encouraging self-talk. Take some action towards your goals. Get up and get some exercise. Eat some good food. Do a short mindfulness or meditation exercise. Really short. It's really powerful and it can be really helpful. Reading some scripture, some positive sayings. You have things that you can do that don't take too much time, effort, or energy that you can do even if you're feeling miserable. Don't choose to be miserable. You can choose to do something about it because this is your life. You can enjoy your life and guide it to go in the direction that you want it to go. All you have to do is take the steps. Because as you know, in this podcast, I believe you can choose your mindset, your goals, and your actions. And they can guide your life to go where you want it to go. Well, thank you for listening to the Enjoy Life podcast. Once again, if you have any issues finding this podcast, after this one's out, I'm going to wait to make the changes until this episode posts. And then afterwards, make the changes and hopefully they'll go through smoothly. But if you have any issue finding it at all, you can always go to nickmazy.com/podcast. That's my website page for the podcast. It'll have all the links there. Or you can go right to Apple Podcasts by going to nickmazy.com/iTunes, or Spotify is at nickmazy.com/Spotify. Feel free to visit the website for more material and links, great books to read, and other resources. And can't wait to talk to you again soon.